Just saying.
Everybody's interested in real estate, which is why Larry Circa is the president of TREB. Well, no, it's not why you're the president, it's why you're here, though. And Jason Mercer, you are the guy who does the analysis of this stuff. So, Mr. President, first, you read, every time you pick up the paper, you look at newscasts, somebody's talking about a bubble in Toronto real estate prices. Is there a bubble, or is that just real value?
Just real value right now. There's no bubble. Believe me, there's no bubble.
If you buy a house for $750,000, it's not going to be worth $300,000 in 6 months.
I'd be very, very surprised if it was, but if you can get me those $300,000 homes, let us know.
Yeah.
Jason and I would love to pick up a couple right now if we could.
Well, let's talk about the fact that the Minister of Finance in Ontario a few weeks ago, and he was here talking about this, about speculation as to whether there should be a foreign owner tax on houses in Toronto.
True.
There should be one?
Actually, we've been discussing that, and Jason and I were just talking about that earlier. So, Jason, maybe you want to fill in on the stats on that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, I mean, since we saw the tax come in place in BC, there was a lot of questions around, you know, should we see one in the Greater Toronto Area? Do we need one? But there wasn't a lot of hard data. So what we did is we went out and had Ipsos survey our members and basically ask them, over the last 12 months, have you, if you've done a deal on behalf of a buyer, what share of those deals were accounted for by foreign buyers? And we found it was really low, less than 5%, 4.9% GTA wide. So if you look at, say we carved out all 5% of those deals that were accounted for by say foreign buyers, you'd still be experiencing some of the tightest market conditions we've ever seen. You'd still be seeing the double-digit price growth. So the real answer long term, if we're talking about the tight market conditions and what have you, is to start dealing with the supply issue, the listing supply issue that we've
experienced. More houses, they aren't going to be as dear, but they don't make more land. So what's the answer to the Toronto residential housing issue?
There is some valuable land out there still available, but the problem is we're trying to associate this with local and provincial marketplaces, and also the provincial side of it, lightening up on some of the applications.
Should we intensify? If people, there's a lot of half-acre lots around in the suburbs. Should that be taken down and put up for townhouses?
Well, there's a lot of process in that. It's not like like a 3-minute ordeal. It's like some of these people are waiting 50 weeks for a minor variance change on a property. So you can imagine what a builder or developer's going through.
Yeah.
And,
so what's the answer to that then?
I think certainly if you look at it, and it's one of the things, like if you look at the policy direction when we're talking about housing and strong home price growth, a lot of that has been focused on the demand side of the market, whether you're talking about mortgage lending guidelines or talking about things like a foreign tax. And really, if you're thinking about the supply side, which is, the other side of that price growth equation, it's probably incumbent at both on at the municipal level and the provincial level to start looking at, perhaps ways we could start to see more supply come online, and that feeds through into listings.
But how do we do that? How do we, get more supply coming online? Is it, part of it is bureaucracy, but on the other hand, you have to have the proper controls so you get decent housing. Is it, more Manhattanization, more big, condos and apartments? Well,
we're still seeing, there's definitely a demand there, though, for semis. Townhouse type, low density type properties. When we don't have that, the demand being there, we're getting people that are still wanting to stay in their own home. They're going to stay there. They're not going to move on because of land transfer tax in some cases, especially in the Toronto area.
And it's one of the things we found too in our consumer polling is that for the last couple of years, and we've gone out and asked consumers, look, are you looking on intending on buying a home over the next year, and if so, what type? And they're still very much pointed at that low-rise side of the market, and so that's why we're seeing the very tight market conditions that we are is because there's not a lot of inventory, whether you're talking about the new home market or the resale market, yet there's a lot of competition between buyers.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Well, I'm glad that there's still the value there. Next time, we got to get some red glasses on you, Mr. President.
We'll try.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Well, we can get them. We'll buy them. We'll get them. Thanks very much. Let's listen to this.
This CP24 segment is brought to you in part by the Toronto Real Estate Board.